Welcome all to this life coaching and understanding, especially for Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, and leaders in you. You must understand this particular aspect. So, why you need to understand it? What is that angle? So, Bala, our expert in this particular field, would help us really understand. So, I would like to go and speak a little bit about Bala. Bala is assistant vice president in Siemens Advanta. That's a really great post to reach at. Not everyone reach there. With his 26 years of rich industry experience, especially from manufacturing projects and a lot of IT experience, especially in the Siemens industry, he is a known personality in Siemens industry, the IT division as well as the earlier wherever he was working. Um, Now, uh, in the additional career that he's actually into, apart from his professional ladder, he was really successful there, or he is successful there, I would say. About 550 people report uh, to him. So, coach specialization. So, he is also life coach into different aspects like career reinvention, corporate coaching, leadership coaching, work life balance coaching. So these are just four aspects that I have jotted down here, but he goes beyond that. So he would share his experience and a lot of things, especially for the benefit of agile coaches and leaders in you or scrum masters. So, when this topic came, we generally collect intelligence from different people who are joining our sessions. So they have different virtues about life coaching. So if you see here, just went to Bala and asked him whether we can clarify this. What is really life coaching? How it can help to our people? So then, in order to clarify, we had this session, and Bala would shed a lot of light on it. So we also understood from Simon Sinek that leadership is not just about being in charge. Leadership is about taking care of those in your charge. So this is also an angle maybe Bala would like to help us. Okay. So Bala, before we go into this particular session and recap, would you like to add something to your introduction?
Uh, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes,
Vijay,
you
thank
are.
you. Thank you, guys. First of all, thank you so much for joining in today. Uh, it's a pleasure for me to be present here, talking about certain things that and certain experiences that I have gathered over a period of time, and it's really a humbling experience. And Vijay, thank you for providing an opportunity, a platform to present my views. I think you have covered this, but many a times I think I have. This is something which is a professional accolade. Uh, but one of my favorite questions in interviews always has been that who are you as a person? Who are you as an individual? Right? I think because there's just one element of you. So I think I'm a simple, fun-loving person. Yeah, care, commitment, responsibility. Uh, Most importantly, freedom. These are some of the values that I live by.
You saying that I'm a simple man. So under that, a lot of success kind of, a humble man is actually underlying there. So that's a really great thing to know for all of us. Yeah. So before so what we will do in today's session is I have certain questions that we actually did last time. So we are going to do recap, and then we'll go to the remaining questions, that two three questions we have, and then we have one simulation round, and then we will open the floor for all the questions here. Okay. So Bala, we discussed last time about what is life coaching. So can you uh, you know say it
Sure.
again in short, please?
Sure. So uh, this is a difficult exercise, which as a coach, uh, you're taught to be asking questions and not giving answers. But to give answers sometimes becomes a difficult thing. But nevertheless, I mean, when you say life as a word, if you look at life as a word, I mean, then and if you think over it, what are the different elements or what are the different aspects that come to your mind? Yeah. So it could be health, wealth, family, relationships, yeah, career, self-development. So these are different aspects of your life. Yeah, and what are we as human beings aspiring to? So, if you see in a nutshell, we are trying to attain a level of fulfillment in these different aspects of life. Right?
Yeah.
And in that sense, if you look at it, a life coach is nothing but a type of wellness professional, yeah, who helps people to make progress in these different elements or different aspects of what we call as life. Yeah,
Okay.
uh, yeah. So that's a simplistic definition. We
Thank you so much. So that differentiates what we do in agile coaching. We are coaching teams sometimes. So that's a team coaching. Life coaching is mostly about an individual, right?
uh, yes, it's mostly one to one, but there are different elements of coaching. Yeah, so there
Okay.
could be one to many as well.
Okay. Uh, Next question. Why did you choose coaching? That's an interesting question because being at the corporate ladder, what motivated you to, it's really interesting question. And
Okay, so yeah, what what interested me. Okay, so Vijay, when I think I have been really fortunate to be part of an organization like Siemens. Yeah, uh, uh, I have also had an opportunity to play different roles and also been a part of different businesses within Siemens. And one thing, if you ask me over this period of time, and one of the learnings that I've had is that many a times that most of the challenges that you face are because of people. You have people challenges. Yeah? Technology problems are easier to solve. Many a times it is, if you look at it in a nutshell, it's mostly people problems that are difficult to solve. Uh, and this is something which has stayed with me, and I have always been very inquisitive about this so-called phenomena, which we call as people in that sense. And when I also look back in time and whatever I've been able to, little whatever I've been able to achieve till this date, I think one of the things I would attribute it to my ability of creating meaningful relationships and forming teams. And if you look at it, that this is all an element of people connect. Yeah. So when I was actually thinking as to, of course, I mean, one day I'll have to hang my shoes of Siemens and take on something else because I'm not as old now. I mean, I would still have some life now. Life expectancy has really improved and increased, right? So even after 60, you would probably like to do certain things. So when I was looking at what is it that I would like to keep myself engaged with, the one thing which I knew for sure was that I would like to work with people. What exactly, that was not clear, but over a period of time now, the answer that resonated with me was coaching. Yeah. So I thought, I mean, whatever I have accumulated over the period of time, why not also make use of that and help people in that? And that's when I thought of coaching, and I tried to pursue it in a more professional way. I have completed my ACC and PCC level trainings. So if you look at, there are different accreditations in coaching, ICF being the most popular and most oldest one. And there are three milestones: ACC, PCC, and MCC. So I've completed the trainings for ACC and PCC from a reputed organization, and almost, yeah, I've also completed close to 100 hours of coaching. And the more I've started doing this, I'm realizing that that's the right choice, because that also gives me an opportunity to improve myself. Or I would say the word that resonates with me is evolve. Yeah, so I'm also evolving in this process every day as a human being.
sure. Thank you. Just out of funny bone, a question comes to me. Does your wife also falls into that people diaspora of coaching? And you can say yes or no or
Hmm. Okay. Fortunately, I'm sitting in a room where no one will probably hear out what I'm speaking to. Uh,
awesome. Okay.
but I'll also tell you something. I mean, having spent so much time in corporate, uh, one thing that I've probably tried to focus on is, even if you don't know what you should do, you should always know what not to do. That's more important. Yeah.
Thank you so
So,
much. I got it. Okay. Complimentary question to the last one. What are your strengths as a coach?
hmm. So if you look at, I mean, this is also, I mean, I have noted these points as a part of the blog that we have posted on Agile Waters website. So if I look at, I mean, some of the key elements for being a coach that come to my mind at least is, first is you have to be altruistic. You really need to care for someone.
Just a moment. Hey guys, Scrum Masters, please wear your hat. You have to connect to Bala what he's saying now. So it's not just a direct question to Bala, but it's to all of you. Yes, please. Sorry, Bala. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's not just coach as such. Of course, I mean, but I think to a greater extent it applies. Vijay, you are right. I think it applies to a lot of leadership in that sense. If you really look at it, so you have to be, of course, you have to be altruistic. You have to be respectful. You have to be empathetic. People. But the thing that I think I have been, what I have experienced personally is probably my ability to connect with people. And because when you are able to connect with people, the second thing that you are supposed to do as a coach is to be able to create an environment where the coachee can freely express himself or herself without having the fear of being judged. That I think is the most important part, because that culminates into trust building, and then whatever are the outcomes of coaching, the coach is also able to take that and apply that into his or her own space. And I think so I would say my ability to connect, my ability to listen, because listening is also a very important thing, and to create an environment of trust.
So what I get to know from here is, I think you becoming a life coach, helping people, is an extension of your available strengths.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Next, what is the methodology that you use for coaching?
Yes. So this is something which is very, very generic, guys. Yeah.
So Scrum Masters and other leaders, guys, there's a tool coming in for you. Yes, Bala.
So if you actually go and search on web, you will see, I mean, there is something called Grow, which is very, very common. But something which I use personally, this is something which I have learned through the trainings that I got through my training institutes. So we follow a model which is known as Opal. Now this is a very generic model, and all of you can apply to different scenarios. Coaching, it has got nothing specifically to do with coaching, but this is a very generic framework. And when we say Opal, so what it means is, O basically stands for objective. The first step is objective or goal. What is the goal that you want to achieve? The second step is P, which means what are the possibilities that exist in order to achieve this goal that you have set for yourselves. Once these two things are done, then third thing is obviously what are the actions that you need to take in order to make these possibilities real, right? And when you are going through this exercise, you will have a lot of learnings. So how do you integrate those learnings back into this process? Now that is what basically Opal stands for.
Great. So can Opal be also used by any leader, or Scrum Masters, because Scrum Masters are also responsible for a little bit of coaching?
So as I said, I mean, it has got nothing to do with coaching.
Okay.
It could be a tool for any problem solving situation.
Sure. I will not go. Thank you so much. I'll not go into this question because it was really elaborate, because you shared a lot of experiences, which were really, really interesting, but that will definitely take a lot of time. But you shared an experiences about a lady who was not really comfortable into an organizational setup, and you coached her in your organization. And then later on, can you just add a line to it? What happened next?
Yeah, I think she was stuck in her career. I think most of us, we go through that journey. She was trying to look at things from her own perspective. But I think as a coach, one of the fundamental job is also to show the mirror. And basically enable people to look at the different facets, different perspectives. And that's what I tried to do. She understood, because she was looking at it from her worldview. She looked at it from different perspectives. She was able to take actions about things that were under her control, under her scope of influence. and
Yeah.
she could apply for a job posting. She also got selected for that. So her way of looking at things, her worldview in a way changed, and she was able to respond to things. She was able to look at different aspects and different elements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there were two more examples. I also spoke at length about experience with Bala, because see, I got to know later that coaches also go to coaches. When I actually got into this ACC by Lighthouse, so coaches actually go to coaches because everybody has their blind spot. Everyone in this world has blind spot, and then you must explore it. You cannot explore it on yourself, and then you need an expert help. Then you also answered about Scrum Master. I am expected to coach people. How does that work in organization when there is hierarchy? Bala, I would like to go to you. When there is hierarchy, how do I coach?
Yeah. So, Vijay, I mean, different people will look at this question from different perspectives. And
Yeah.
as I said last time, when I basically wear the hat of a coach and look at this question, what I see is that there is a fundamental belief which is there in this statement itself. Yeah. And for me, that belief is that in a hierarchical organization, coaching does not work. Yeah, that's the belief which I see in the statement, which is there. So first of all, we need to change that belief, because
Sure.
if you change belief, that's what will lead to change in behaviors, and that change in behavior will result in change in the business as such.
Thank you.
So
Good.
belief drives your behaviors, behaviors drive your business. So you have to look at what is the underlying belief.
Sure. So people in this room, whoever has this belief, you can just put your comments on chat if they agree. Bala says it's a belief system that actually starts with. So definitely we'll go. A little later, people will have a lot of questions. You can put on chat so that you don't forget. But for now I'll move on to the next one, and this is where we stopped last time. So the question is, Bala, a lot of people ask me, or kind of, so I want to be effective Scrum Master. In spite of having all the knowledge, I'm saying knowledge which is written in those 16 pages of Scrum Guide, and all those plethora of books I have actually gone through, and the wisdom of agility and everything. I have all the logic and everything, but how can you help me? Because it's not working for me. That logic isn't working. How can you help me?
Very interesting question, Vijay. And as I said in the first statement itself, so we need to basically look at it in a more deeper way. Yeah. And see, there are two fundamental things uh, on which are paramount in coaching. Yeah. So every person has potential, and every person is resourceful. And as a coach, it's the job of a coach to guide that person towards that potential and resourcefulness, right? uh, and I'll probably like to take so, Vijay, if you could go to the next slides where you have the life spiral. I think we had discussed that. You have that in this slide deck?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
edited. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So this is something, Vijay, that that I learned, and that this is something which resonates with me a lot. And I think this is something. It's not only about Scrum Masters, but it is for any person. When we say that we get stuck, yeah, a lot of time. A simple example could be that. See, I want to be a good speaker. I want to be a good communicator. I have joined a lot of courses. I've done a lot of things. So from a knowledge per se, I've got everything. But when I go to stage, I just cannot speak. Yeah. So what happens there? Yeah. So if you look at this life spiral, yeah. So what it says is, if you look at this is a human being, right? A human being exists in two dimensions. So now this dimension is something which is known as the psychological domain, or this is something which is the internal world, right? Now, for example, I can see on camera. So Hema, when you are looking at me, Manju, when you are looking at me, Vijay, at the same time, there are certain thoughts which are going on in your mind. Yeah? I cannot really know that. So there's an internal world which is there. Yeah? So your thoughts, your emotions, all those things. So internally, we have our beliefs, we have our values, right? Now, beliefs is something that we form as and how we grow. Even there are certain values which are which which we get, which we inherit, and certain values which we develop as we grow older. Yeah? Now, these values and beliefs, they basically give a rise to what should be my goal and what should be the vision. Yeah? So that's the preference. So what is it that I would like to choose? For example, I mean, when I told you that I want to be a coach, yeah, why? Because I fundamentally believe in people, and I believe that people have potential, and I have that value of care. So I think that's something which has driven me towards that. Now, once you this beliefs, they basically help you to jot that vision for yourselves, right? And in order to fulfill this vision, you start developing your capabilities, right? uh, Once you start developing your capabilities, you start taking actions. Now, when you start taking actions, if you see the elements, they flow from your internal world to your external world. So
Mm-hmm.
this is your external world. So which is your physiological domain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people can see you here. Yeah, people can
Okay.
actually look at what actions you take and what are the results that you produce, right? So then you take certain actions and they produce certain results, right? And if there's an alignment in this, you will see that you produce positive results. Yeah. What will
Yeah.
that do is that will basically enhance your belief system, and at the core, you will keep on developing as a person. You will become more confident. You will take on more challenging things. Yeah, and that is how you keep on evolving as a human being. And it's not, as I said, it's not only for Scrum Master, but for anything else. I'm taking a lot of actions, but I'm not getting results. Okay, I might have capabilities, I might have all the skills and knowledges. Okay, but if my values and beliefs are not in line, yeah, if there's a misalignment here, whatever actions I take, it will not produce results. Right? Then
Oh,
what do I do as a coach? As a coach, I think my job is to create an alignment in this life spiral. That's something that I do as a coach.
oh my. So if I want to become a great Scrum Master, and if it's not working, so it actually dates back to my childhood. That's what you mean to say, wherein I actually learned most of my values.
Yes, of course, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So values and beliefs. So
Okay.
it stems from that. Yeah. So it could be simple things. I mean, you want to be a Scrum Master, but first of all, do you believe in agility?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you
Interesting.
don't believe in agility, you are in a circumstance where you feel that for this circumstance, agility cannot be applied, and you are playing the role of a Scrum Master.
Hmm.
So whatever
Interesting.
actions you take, whatever knowledge you have, will you be able to produce the results?
Interesting. Okay. So you will try to find out the root cause and help. I mean, with our help, and then you try to help us solve the problem from the root
Yeah.
cause so that I become a great Scrum Master. Okay. Interesting. Thank you so much. Yes. So now, I mean, very interesting question now. I understood from you how you can help me.
Mm.
As a Scrum Master, I also, everyone in this room is expected, whoever is Scrum Master, is also expected to play a role of coach. But the strengths that you have as on today, but the level of learning that you have done through, the amount of money that you paid through, or the patience that you had, or amount of training or coaching practice that you have done throughout your lifetime to become a coach. I cannot do that as a Scrum Master because I have a horizon to take care of. Coaching is just not the angle, and it doesn't suit me to do everything else that you did. So can you tell us some success factors for an agile coach that would help me in day-to-day life?
Okay. Uh, So this is something which is from my personal experience. So it may or may not be universal truths in that sense, but so this is one thing which I have learned after coming to software. You need to be good at disclaimers. Yeah. So that's but yeah, I think it's see, Scrum Master, I think for me is just a rule. Yeah. So whenever you talk about leadership, uh, and you had that Simon Sinek picture as well, right? I think
Yeah.
Simon Sinek's thought process is something that I resonate with to a great extent, right? And it's about the perspective, right? Now he talks about when you have a team, as such. I mean, he talks about that perspective. That sentence is very beautiful sentence, right? Of what kind of a perspective you have, whether you look at it that I am in charge, or you look at it that I'm responsible for the people in my charge. So these are two different perspectives. How do you look at people? Yeah. How do you exercise empathy? Do you listen to your people? How do you acknowledge them? Do you appreciate them? Yeah. And when you have to listen to your people, because many a times we say what goes in comes back, yeah, or what goes out comes back. Yeah. So if you don't listen to your people, people will not listen to you. Yeah. So you need to listen to people from a perspective of understanding where they are coming from, right? Because see, every person needs to be cared. Yeah. As a leader, I think it's of paramount importance that you give that due respect to each individual. You listen to that person. You have to be good in your communication. You have to be clear about what you want to communicate with people. Right. You also need to appreciate your people, and always remember one thing: you appreciate people in public, but when you want to give critical feedback, give to that individual, not in public. Yeah. And I think, as I said, I mean, the perspective of looking at the team, being empathetic to the team, listening to the team, because these are certain things. See, what happens is, as a leader, what is your job? What is your role? Your role is nothing but to create an environment, or to create a culture. And what is a culture? It's nothing but a set of behaviors, right? So it's about creating a culture of trust. Yeah. And when will that happen? That will happen when you exercise that, right? You walk the talk, you listen to the people. That's when people will listen to you, and you have to be genuine in your efforts. Yeah. Because people understand. Yeah. You cannot just do acting of that. Yeah. See, when we say communication, it's more than 90% of our communication is actually non-verbal. Yeah. And it's less than 10% is what we speak. Yeah. So people are smart enough. Subconsciously, they catch whether this person is genuinely interested or whether this person is just acting.
Okay. So interestingly, everything that you're telling is actually going beyond the gamut of what I have learned in Agile books. So it's a lot of common sense or this thing you're talking, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what common sense, most of the things are only common sense, Vijay. And I think it's true that people say that common sense is not common. So
I don't know. In India, we say that. Australia, other people outside India, do you also agree that common sense is not common? If you have any comments, please put in a chat. Yeah. So, Bala, are we done with that question, or you have any more things to state?
No. So I think, as I said, I mean, I would basically, what I have always tried to do as a leader is try to look at how can I create an environment for my team.
Okay.
Right. An environment where the person will feel empowered, the person will feel free to express himself or herself, yeah, without the fear of being judged. And that is something which I don't claim that I've been successful all the times, because I'm a human being. I have had my successes and failures as well, but this is something which I've learned that that's something that you need to focus on. Yeah, that focus on creating that culture or an environment within your team. And it has to start with you, that you have to start listening to your people. You have to start appreciating your people. And whenever there are failures, you have to take the responsibility. Whenever there are successes, give that credit to your team. So you stand by the team and the team will stand by you.
Yeah. And thank you.
That's a great thought, Bala. And that's the most difficult one to practice as well.
This is actually one coming from, I heard from Abdul Kalam.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you. I mean, reminding, Manju, you said it's difficult, and Hara Gopal, you also said that from Abdul Kalam. So that's good. So great.
Many years back, I'll tell you, I mean, as I told you, I mean, I have been really lucky that I've been a part of Siemens. I have got an opportunity to work with a lot of great bosses in that sense. I mean, I have always considered them as my mentors and coaches. They were not really bosses. And I would say long back, I had heard this statement from one of my managers. He told me that try to be a father of failures and you will be a successful man.
Wow.
Yeah, and I still
Great.
live by that. It resonated with me. And
Yeah,
that's
I also
exactly
heard
Harap, what you said.
something in a way that fail, FAIL, failure, what they say is first attempt in learning is fail.
Yes.
Yeah.
Similarly, I got a video of Sachin Tendulkar's video. I mean, especially for the champions, failure is the fuel.
Right. So,
I-
Vijay, it's not just about failure. What I'm saying is, as a leader, you
Mhm.
have to accept and you have to be the father of those failures. You cannot put it
Okay.
on your team that we failed because of, you have to accept your responsibility as well as a leader. And what I'm trying to say is, whenever there are failures, you are the one to stand up first and accept that. Whenever there are successes, you have to ask the team to stand up first and give that credit to them first.
Great.
But Bala, in reality, this is in reverse way in most of the corporate.
Is it a belief?
99% of the
I'll go.
corporates in reality, it's in reverse. This other way. I mean,
I would agree with.
I got badly impacted in my previous organization because of my team lead. I mean, I can share openly. So
Yeah.
all the activities which I did, and he go and tell to the manager that he did everything. One weekend, I spent almost 48 hours in the office. The issue got delayed in resolving the issue. He twisted the tongue, everything put on me, and the next day they were both were in. They took me in telephone booth. They give left right. You have not done this. You have not done this. That.
Good. But
So
Hema,
after the
I'm happy
meeting,
that I'm happy
after
that
the meeting,
you are
he
helping
took
someone get
he took me for
successful.
a tea. Yeah, after the
Mm,
meeting, right? He took me for a team lead,
mm.
and he's saying, "Sorry, Hema, I cannot do anything." He's blaming on me. He's shouting on me.
See this, as I said, now these are, see, you could make out that it's he's not genuine, he's fake, right? I mean, and see, these are short-term tactics. Yeah, so this, at least in my experience, these don't work for a long time, right? And in a sense, I mean, if he has lost a good person like you, then I think he has lost you, right?
True.
And would you be motivated to work for that kind of a leader? Would you be motivated to work for that kind of to be a part of that kind of a team?
Couple of months later, I moved to different team lead. Then I moved to different
Absolutely.
team. Then I moved to different company altogether.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the answer, you see.
Yeah.
All
As I
good
said, I
happened.
mean,
Sure. Right from Agile, where we started with Agile and management, and where we ended up as insights that I think there are blind spots or there are belief system that needs to be worked upon. However, then he asked a different question that was going in a different direction, or maybe that's a different question altogether. But definitely it was actually you diverted him to individual insights and what is in his control that he can actually do. So that was really, really wonderful. I think since Hema said about the belief system, he's asking how do we change belief system? I mean, I don't know, that's a small question answer that you have, but
uh, yeah, I mean, see, uh, that's a good question. If you basically want to make a line small, you have to draw a bigger line, right? So if you want to change a belief, you have to replace it by another belief. And typically, which belief is the one that you want to change? Yeah? So in beliefs, what we call basically is, if you look at it, there are two types of it. Basically, I mean, there are a lot of things, but if you go into a principally, there are two types of it. One is something which is an empowering belief, and something which is a limiting belief. Yeah. So as long as there is an empowering belief which is actually guiding you, which is helping you, good with it, right? You stay with it. There's no need to change it. But if there's a limiting belief, right? So then if there's a limiting belief, of course, I mean, the way to change it is that it has to be, first you have to be aware that this is what is the limiting belief. Yeah, so that obviously is the first step. Okay, once you understand that this is a belief which is limiting me, then things become easier. Okay, unless and until I understand what needs to be changed, I cannot change anything. And this does not change in a day, right? And then you will have to basically replace it by another empowering belief. Yeah, and this is basically a journey where a coach basically helps you. Yeah. So who had asked this question? I forgot.
Haragopal.
Haragopal, yeah. So
Yeah.
Haragopal, this is where basically a coach comes into picture, where he would basically make you aware of the limiting belief that you have, and then he would also help you to instill another empowering belief, and then you basically have to keep on practicing it in different situations, because anything that you it has to go to your subconscious mind. You really have to practice it for some time. And this does not happen in a minute or in a day. You have to constantly be aware of this, and you have to constantly actually keep on practicing it, and you have to be aware of that. You have to catch yourselves in that particular moment, that hey, this is the situation, this is the moment, and usually I go by this belief, and this is how I react in this situation. Now let me hold back myself, and let me try to look at things from a different perspective and see how do I respond to this situation.
Yeah.
And you have to catch yourselves in that situation.
Yeah. Haragopal, does that answer?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Vijay, and yeah, Bala, I
That's
really
good.
appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? And also, the last question that we left is, if you can quickly tell us why in today's world this coaching aspect is really, really important. I mean, earlier we never thought of 10 years back, maybe.
Yeah. So Vijay, I think the times are changing. Yeah, times are changing pretty fast. We say that we are in a VUCA world now, right? Where things are really changing fast. Things around us are changing fast. Now, if you look at it, even if I have to talk from an Indian context, yeah, and I think more or less that is what would be also a global experience. But if I talk just about Indian scenario in this sense, if you look at it, we have been fortunate enough. I mean, those times when we were kids, we were a part of joint families, right? With the advent of technology, with the advent of urbanization, with the advent of development now that we call it, so families are becoming more and more nuclear, right? And when we were actually I mean, we had that support, we had that infrastructure. So that support system, when we had our uncles, our aunts, and all those things, which we used to live as a community, yeah, very close to each other. They're not necessarily just relatives, but as friends, and they used to be our mentors, our guides and coaches. But nowadays, if you look at it, we are more and more nuclear. In fact, I think few days back I was reading that in Japan they have actually set up a ministry for loneliness, right? I think that's where technology is taking everybody to, right? And that's not a good sign. So you have to be very much dependent upon yourselves. But what happens typically is that if you are in a problem, yeah, you look at the problem from that problem space only, but you need someone who can be outside that frame of reference, who is looking at that problem from a third person's perspective, and then who can basically tell you what needs to be done and what changes needs to be implied. Because if you remember what Einstein has said, is that the most solutions, he said, I've got when I've been able to take myself out of the frame of reference of that problem. And then that is when I've got solutions. Yeah. And we as individuals, I think everyone has that ability. So if we are able to exercise that, we can self-coach ourselves. Yeah. Then you don't need any external coach. We can self-coach ourselves. But most of the times, at least in my experience, many people lack this ability. And if you lack this ability, then you need a third person who can basically show you, or basically look at that frame from a third person's frame of reference, look at what are the things which are happening. Then he can look at what are the limiting beliefs, what are the changes which need to go in. Yeah. And I think that's where a coach comes into picture, who can support you to see things from a different perspective. Yeah, who can basically make you look at all those different perspectives, right? So I very interestingly, Vijay, I think in school we had this story of seven blind men and elephant.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. I mean, most of it, if you remember that, right? I mean, there are seven blind people. They go, they basically approach an elephant, and they are asked, what does the elephant look like to you? So somebody who catches his food, he says that it's like a trunk, tree trunk. Elephant is like a trunk. Somebody who catches his trunk says that elephant is a snake. Somebody who catches his tail says that elephant is a rope. But is elephant a rope or a trunk or a snake? Yeah. So somebody has to give you a picture that, well, that's only a part of it. Okay, that's not the real elephant. And when we are in problem, that's we are actually blind.
Yeah.
So for us, it's the elephant is actually a rope or a snake or a tree trunk. So somebody who is looking from outside has to tell you, well, it's not the only rope, it's not a snake, it's not a trunk, but it's actually that whole body. That's the real elephant.
Okay. Thank you. Any quick questions?
It's just a random question, Bala. In your career, have you actually seen any of a difficult situation that you came across where, any of your team members are not willing to participate in any of the Scrum ceremonies, or they pretty much disconnect from the team? And how do you basically overcome that challenge? And what did you do?
Well, to be very frank, I have not played the role of a Scrum Master. Yeah. But I can tell you one thing for sure. So this is not a challenge only as a Scrum Master, but you come across situations where you have demotivated employees. You have, as you said, people who are disconnected, right? So one thing which I have always followed is that I have, from my side, I have always tried to give it an honest attempt to make that relationship work. Try to understand what is the reason of lack of motivation, what is the reason of lack of interest. Yeah, is there something that can be done differently? Can I basically make this work? Yeah, and I've genuinely looked at that element. Yeah, and also if you look at it, not 100% of times you will be successful. Yeah, but what is important is you try to look at the situation. You in this situation, it's very empathetic. It's very, I would say, essential to be empathetic. Try to put yourself in the shoes of that person and look at the situation. Why is that person feeling disinterested? Why is that person feeling motivated? What is it that has got compromised from his or her own perspective? Yeah, because there are certain, it's not that out of blues that person will feel disinterested. Yeah, there are certain things that are happening. Whether that person feels that he's not respected, he's not taken care of, whatever. I mean, there could be certain things. Try to understand that. Yeah, and try to make a genuine effort to be able to change that. Yeah, and there have been experiences where I've been able to change certain things, and there have also been experiences where certain times I have not been able to change. And then see, if you are playing a role, then certain times you also have to let go. Yeah, so then you have to let go of that person. If all the attempts that you are making, you are not able to make that person
But
understand.
unfortunately, we won't be able to let go of the person because as we still have the hierarchy system there. So that means that person might be a developer. He got a tech lead to report to, and then tech lead is a good supporter for him. And if the organization is not willing to let go, in that situation, he's like a poison to the team. So in that case, how do we go with that?
So you will have to look at it. So what is it in your scope? And if you see, so here, what I see from the example that you're talking about, so it's not just the developer, but it's also about the technical lead. So there are multiple stakeholders. So you will have to ensure that you take all the stakeholders into confidence. Yeah. And then there obviously will be some system to support, right? I mean, if things are not working, what is in your scope, what is not in your scope. So you will have to make it clear to somebody that these are the things which will hamper the progress. You have to make certain things clear. But of course, I mean, the first thing, of course, will be that you will have to take genuine efforts. You will have to understand what is happening. And still, if that's not happening.
Thank you. Yeah.
But of course, I mean, for you and tech lead also, there would be somebody that you could go up to, right?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.